and welcome to the Flying Cork TX. Hello folks, Tom here with the Flying Cork TX, and today this place is something special. I am in downtown, Old Town Pflugerville, Texas at the Three-Legged Goat. The great thing about this place is they only sell, being on par with the show, is that they only sell Texas beer and wine. Predominantly Texas wine, but yes, they have Texas brews here as well. So he's got quite the lineup of strictly Texas wines, and I'm going to go in there and talk with Jim, the owner, and see what it's all about. Ready to go? Let's have at it. So, all right, folks, I'm sitting inside the Three-Legged Goat with Jim McDonald. Thank you very much for sitting with me, and cheers, sir.
Absolutely.
This is a great place to be here. I've been anxious to sit with you and talk with you for quite some time now.
So this is our wine of the week, by the way. It's a Grenache from Ciel Buteau. Quite delectable.
Ciel Buteau Grenache. This is 100% Grenache from Farmhouse Vineyards. Grapes from Farmhouse Vineyards. Ciel Buteau is the winery.
Yep.
And where are they located?
In Texas.
That's a good one. That's off to a good start.
Unfortunately, I don't have all the locations of all of our wineries memorized. These folks are probably in Fredericksburg, if I had to guess, but I didn't bring my glasses.
They are. Yeah, I did hear that this name before recently, but I can't for the life of me remember where or why. But anyway, I'll look that up and put a link below in the description on this particular wine, this Grenache, 2022 Grenache. It's actually quite delicious and a nice, brilliant, bright ruby color, spicy.
So one of the things we pride ourselves on here at the Three-Legged Goat is not every wine that every winery makes is superb. A lot of them are okay, some of them are good, and some of them are better. And so we pride ourselves on going out to all the different wineries in Texas and visiting them and finding the better or even the best wines. And then we choose to bring those here to Pflugerville for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah. Is that your position within the company besides owner, or is that
I don't tell people I'm the owner, Tom. You don't ever own a wine bar. The wine bar owns me. So my role here is lead custodian.
Okay.
And so anything that needs attending to, that's my job. And one of those jobs, fortunately, is tasting the different wines. It's been quite an adventure for me because I've had to expand my palate and understand that wines that I may not like, right, that may not be my favorite, are still good wines. And so it's been quite an adventure for me. Along the way, I've found a few friends that have, I don't know if they're super tasters. There's a term for that, for people who can like pull all the flavors out of something, where I just get cinnamon. And they're like, oh no, it's this, and this. Yeah. And so
I'm always working on that myself. So
I don't think
I'm nowhere near as good as I would like to be yet. So.
Right. But we're still practicing.
That's always,
we will get there. we will get there.
Yeah, the joy is the journey.
But I've got a couple of friends who have demonstrated to me that they have discriminating palates, and we'll leave it at that. And so I'll entrust them to visit a new winery. They make different trips to different wineries, and I'll give them a blank check, and they're like, ooh, blank check. They're very excited. But they will go out and make runs for me and help me expand my reach in terms of all the different wineries that we visit. And so we have we have an amazing Albarino from a winery up near Waco called Valley Mills. we don't have it all the time. We just picked up 2 cases because my friend was driving to Dallas and said, "Hey, I'm going to Dallas." And I'm like, "Hey, will you stop in Waco?" And she's like, "Sure." And so a lot of the wineries that we bring to Pflugerville, they don't have distributors, right? They're sole distributors. They have a tasting room where people come to them, and so their reach typically may only be regional. Given that Texas is the 6th largest economy in the world, it's a big state, and so the opportunity to bring all of those here is something that we're really proud of.
Right. Yeah, there is quite the growing band of people that are really screaming for more Texas wines within Texas restaurants and bars.
Right.
There seems to be a shortage on the ability to find that, but you have that here, and that's all that you have here.
We've had a few folks come in from California and visit it, and they're like, "Oh, Texas wines? Oh, well, and then by the end of the evening, they've pulled 180 degrees in terms of their opinion on Texas wines.
Yeah.
They're blown away. I had 4 weeks ago. I didn't know at the time, but a gentleman came by with I thought it was his girlfriend, and they were looking for some wines to buy and wanted to do a tasting. I'm like, "Well, we don't do tastings, but I'll recommend a few wines for you, and we can try those." And so he kept saying, "Well, we're going on a summer vacation," and the girl would, "We're getting married." It was a summer vacation wine, and so we went through, and so he gave me some ideas of what he was looking for, and I picked out a few wines for him, and much to my glee, every one of them he found excellent, and bought 2 bottles of 6 different wines that I recommended. At the end of the tasting, when they were piling all these wines in the bags, he revealed that he's an executive chef and has one of those discriminating palates. And he was just astounded at the quality of wine that's available now in Texas.
Right. Yeah, I did something very similar one year. Went out to Yosemite for a friend and family reunion weekend there, and there was to be a person there that's a very avid California wine lover as well.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, we bought the 12-bottle wine suitcase and bought 12 of my favorites out there, and some of the real pitch hitters for Texas winemakers and stuff. And he was as surprised as that chef. So before one puts their nose up, pull the cork first and try something.
100%.
So yeah, and there are some, you're right, there are some amazing winemakers out here. There's definitely no shortage of them. There's some wines out there that are, may or may not be our thing or whatnot, and but that's the whole idea of tasting.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we stress here when people come in and they're like, "Well, what's your favorite wine?" or "What's that wine taste like?" And we're like, wine is meant to be experienced. So I tell people all the time, like, you've got that friend that hates broccoli, and you have the friend that loves broccoli. But the flavor of broccoli doesn't change. It's either good broccoli or bad broccoli. It's how you experience it, how you react to it that matters. And so we always try to figure out what people like, and then we give them a taste of the wine to figure out if it matches their flavor profile.
Right. Yep. Taste everything. Let's see. You have just gone over your 5th year anniversary, right? Right.
In November.
Yeah. Back then, over 5 years ago, why did you and Chelsea decide to why a wine bar?
I had there were 2 events sort of happened real quickly in the end of 2017. One, I was elected into local office here, and the second one was in December of 17. I was laid off from a job I'd held for 12 years. And so we were in a transition period in terms of trying to figure out what the next big thing was going to be. At the time, I'm a computer science engineer by training and an e-commerce stack developer for the last 20 years. And so by training, all the jobs that I was looking for had 25 to 50% travel involved in them. And given that I was just elected and it seemed like I had a lot of responsibilities towards my community, that seemed unfair.
Right.
And so we were sitting around one day having a glass of wine, trying to figure out what business could we create here in Pflugerville that was missing, that our community didn't have, that we had to leave for to go to. And we had another glass of wine and another glass of wine. And pretty soon it was that eureka moment that we're like, Pflugerville doesn't have a wine bar. There's a local beer establishment in town, and they have like a bunch of draft beers and some wines, but there was, and we would go visit them, but there was no place where we could go just to get wine in Pflugerville. And so we set out on a journey to build a place where people could experience wine. And then somehow or another we decided, because we knew of so many great Texas wines that people weren't talking about, we decided to focus on just Texas. Because neither one of us were sommeliers, neither one of us had lots of experience in wine, viticultural knowledge or anything. We just knew we liked drinking wine, and it was something that friends could do. And that was what started it.
Yep, excellent. And about 5.5 years later, so you went with the wine bar, which is only a great idea, and especially for myself. I'm looking at 3 wine bars now, 3 really good wine bars now, 4 actually, and I'm right in the middle of all 4 of them in a 15-20 minute direction there. So my choices are bliss no matter which way.
There you go.
Which way I go. And then your decision this time, opening up a wine bar, that's one thing, but you guys made the conscientious decision to go strictly Texas.
We did. We always had a vision of having a place for showcasing Texas products. The idea has always been from day one to have Texas wine, Texas craft beer, and eventually we'll be adding Texas spirits once we finish the expansion. And I think the number, since in the last 5 years, I think the number of distilleries has doubled.
I'm not surprised, yeah.
Yeah, and there's some great Texas spirits, amazing whiskeys, and gins, and the list goes on. And so that was kind of always the plan, that we would build the first goat, and then expand to 4 other locations. So we'd have 5 locations within the Austin MSA, thinking in terms of how do we replicate the success, presuming we would be successful, how do we replicate that success throughout all those establishments, and then build a franchise model, because we envision a 3-legged goat, a Texas wine bar, Atlanta, 3-legged goat, a Texas wine bar, Chicago, maybe even one in San Francisco, right? So that people can be wherever they are and experience Texas wine, the best Texas wine.
Right.
And so the idea has always been to develop a full palette of Texas products, and then depending on your regional preferences, you could pick what works for you, but you're guaranteed, because of part of the 3-legged goat brand, that it's going to be a great wine.
Yeah, that's amazing. Actually, I mean, that's what a lot of us, myself with this video podcast and numerous other podcasts, are out to do the exact same thing, is to give recognition to Texas wineries, and get that more elevated on the world stage. We're most definitely getting there.
We are. It's been a long path, but we're definitely maturing, if you will, getting out of our awkward teenage years and moving on into early adolescence.
Definitely. So I have to ask about the, tell us the story about the name, the 3-legged goat.
Thank you for asking. It's a great story. No. There were many a days when my wife and I were up here. She would be sawing boards, and I'd be nailing them. This wall back here, for instance, is our old fence. from our backyard.
Okay.
We had to build a new fence, and so these are
Excellent.
builder grade pine pickets that she ran through a planer, and I'd be on a ladder with the little nailer, and I'd say, okay, I need 52.5 inches, and she'd saw cut it right over there. She'd saw cut the ends and bring it to me, and I'd nail it up. And so we're going through multiple projects like this, and we're like, what are we going to name this place? I mean, there are, and no offense to any of the other wine bars that are out there, but all the names seem to fall in I don't mean a predictable pattern, right? I don't mean to say trite, but they're all grape related or corkscrew related, or somehow or another. And we wanted something unique as serving only Texas wines. And so I remember one day we were over at my sister's office, and we were talking to her, and she had a three-legged goat in her paddock. And I asked her, I said, why do you have a three-legged goat? Couldn't you eat the whole thing in one sitting? She didn't think I was.
Yeah, no,
she didn't think I was funny at all. She's like, no.
Pick a wine to pair with the rest of it.
I got some recommendations for you. But she said when the goat was a kid, open mic on Thursdays, you can tell dad jokes. When he was a kid, he got his leg caught in a gate and broke his leg. So she did the responsible thing and took him to the vet, and the vet put a splint on it and sent her home. Well, young billy goats are dirty creatures. They're always into something, and so it got infected. And so she took him back to the vet, and this being Texas and the price of goats being very negotiable, and they're tasty, the vet said, put him down. He's just a goat. Get another goat. Well, her assistant said, oh no, you can't kill Charlie.
Gave him a name.
Gave him a name. And so he had transitioned from being livestock to being a pet. And there's no expense we won't spare to save the life of our pets.
Yep.
We all have experiences with that. So she talked my sister into paying for the surgery, amputated his leg, and he's still walking around to this day on 3 legs. And so for my wife and I, that story resonated for a couple of reasons. We do a lot of volunteerism in town. We serve on different boards, a lot of different activities. And so for us, sometimes you may put in a little extra time, or sometimes you may spend a little extra money, not because there's an ROI associated with it, no quid pro quo. It's just the right thing to do. And we wanted to build a place here in downtown Pflugerville centered around our community with that as our core value. And we figured that putting a 3-legged goat out there and telling the story of Charlie would help us get that message out there.
Yep, and so it does.
Now, the first time I told my friends we were naming our bar the 3-legged goat, they said, "You're kidding, right? That's funny. That's a good joke." But here we are, over 5 years later, still making it.
I think after enough wine, I think I kind of walk like a 3-legged goat too.
It can happen. It can happen.
So you have. I've been in and out of here since the beginning as well. You now have that garage door opening out to the front. That's new. That wasn't there the last time I came in.
Right.
At least I don't remember that anyway.
It was not there.
Yeah. Prior to that, you had the expanded over here to the other side. I was in and out of here during that process. So that definitely gives you a lot more space. And
it's sort of the journey of the 3-legged goat's been interesting, right? We didn't fund this with a $500,000 build out and make it perfect from day one and open up to everything being pristine and packaged and out of the box. We've always been sort of build it as we go along, tackle each challenge, and always try to cash flow each thing. which became difficult when you face pandemic and your revenue goes to zero,
Yeah.
right? But there's so many stories. We have so many friends, Tom, that have helped us along the way. It's absolutely amazing.
Right. Yeah, you're one of the few that has survived the pandemic too. There's some people that just did not make it through that.
Yeah.
I mean, business-wise, from a business perspective. So you did that. That's a really good thing. Did you have were you pushing bottles to go, or did you just?
So we discovered something, fortunately for us, pretty early on, in terms of how TABC regulates business. When we submitted our application, and we were still very young, year and a half when the pandemic hit, you have to put in a location drawing, which is called your red line. And so we pulled that drawing up and remembered that our red line was that front door over there. And so that anything outside that door was considered off-premise.
Okay.
Which we have this beautiful patio out there. And so our friends came and bought wine from us in plastic to-go cups with lids on them. TABC was as helpful as they could be during the pandemic. And we sold wine to go. And we said, we don't care if you go home or sit right there on the patio, but you can't drink inside.
Yep.
And so we even went, I remembered calculating the circumference of a circle from high school, right? Pi D. And we needed 12-foot diameter circles. So I calculated how long I needed to make the ropes to tie the knots. And we made rope circles for everyone to set up their little campsite so everyone could sit away from each other and feel like they had their space, because that's what the guidelines were from the CDC at the time. And so yeah, we did what we could do to make it work.
Yep, and very glad you did. What kind of events you have take place around here? I know you have a wine tasting going on this evening.
Yep, we've got our inaugural. So we just started before the pandemic. We had a wine club. We just now recently restarted that, and so tonight is our first wine club member event. We're doing a tasting with C.O. Buteau, actually, and again, it's just bringing people together to experience wine. They're all going to get to vote to see what the next wine is we add on the menu, trying to expand our reach in terms of palates, right? We have every Thursday night, we have an open mic. So we have quite an active group of musicians, a few comedians that come out. Some of us even tell dad jokes in between the sets. And
maybe I should come out here for open mic night.
You really should.
Right now I can just hear a bunch of people out there saying, please don't.
We'll check the comments later. And then Friday and Saturday night, because again, we always want to reinforce that this is a place for community. We're family friendly, so we'll have kids in here as well. But every Friday and Saturday night we have live music. A lot of my friends like to be in bed by 9. And so we've got live music starting at 6, and then we'll have a second show later at 8.
Yep.
And so, but if it's raining, we bring it inside. But we want people to feel like they have a place to come that's here, without having to go into another city and drive 20 minutes and then fight traffic or whatever to drive back. And so we've just always work towards creating that sort of environment for people to come and just relax.
Yep. Yeah, you got the relaxing part down here. Glad you really, it has a very much the rustic feel. If you want to stay in the theme of Texas, Texas only, it's got that feel to it. This is obviously a Texas bar, so I really like that too.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean the color palette is specifically chosen to try to do that. We looked at a lot of different wine bars in terms of the things that they had done, but we stayed away from a lot of the brass, a lot of the bright, industrial type finish outs, and just wanted to keep it homey. I mean, down to we're sitting on a church pew, And this was one of our friends bought these for us from a restore, and so it's just one of those things that there's this notion of a sense of place. Have you heard of this? And so if you walk into a church, you feel a certain way. If you walk into a prison, you feel a certain way. It's like that place emotes energy of some sort. Can't measure it. I'm a scientist. I don't know what it means, but I know if I go and visit Stonehenge, I know I'm going to feel different just by being in that place. And so when Chelsea and I were building this place out, we put a lot of our positivity into it and a lot of our just wanting to build a place for community, so that we always wanted people, when they walk through that door and they come in, we want you to feel safe. We want you to feel like you're getting a hug. You're being embraced, and just feel comfortable right off the bat.
Right.
And we've worked really hard to cultivate that.
Yeah, well, you certainly hit the mark on that, for sure.
Thank you.
Definitely. So I've seen the outside. You definitely have a lot of outside seating area around here. And I've seen performances outside on the backside over here, which is awesome. You have any future plans?
So we're currently working with some friends I mentioned 5 locations.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mentioned
true.
5 locations. We're actually working towards and have submitted the build-out renovation plans for our 2nd location.
Okay.
Which we're super excited about. Some friends approached us, and they said, "Hey, how would you feel about opening another wine bar?" And I'm like, I got my hands full here. I need to finish this project, right, and tie a ribbon on it before I move on to the next one. They said, "Well, what if we build it for you?" And I said, "Well, that's hard to say no to."
Right.
If all I need to do is bring some furnishing, staff, and inventory, I think I can handle that side of it. And so they bought a location in downtown Florence last summer, and then submitted the renovation plans for the old bank to the city. The city submitted those to Williamson County, and Williamson County is still reviewing those. It's always takes longer than you think. There's a lot of growth going on here in Central Texas, and so everybody's backlogged. So we're hoping to open that location by the end of this year.
Oh, very nice. Dwell House Cafe is downtown in Florence as well.
They are indeed.
Yeah.
Yep, they are indeed.
Yep. They let go of the one here in Hutto, and but he's still there, so I'm glad they still have that place open there in Florence.
Well, and there's the Florence Beer Market recently changed hands there as well, and it's now I think I haven't met them, but it's I think a local family reopened it, and so I've got to get back up there and visit with them and meet them.
Right, very nice. Well, it's a little bit slow, but Florence is kind of picking up a little too.
Well,
like
if you think Pflugerville 30 years ago, and the crazy explosive growth that we've gone through here, we're excited for the opportunity to be in Florence to kind of experience that growth with them and to be part of that from an early stage, and create again that family-friendly gathering spot that people can come to and
right. Yeah, I'll be anxious to be there for that grand opening.
We're in the works. We haven't picked a time yet, but we get closer with the construction phase, we'll actually have a prediction on when we'll have that.
Awesome.
You know, I mentioned how important it was to Chelsea and I, and we took on a couple of business partners, Dale Woodkey and Marilyn Klassen, who've just been instrumental in helping us get through everything and just really put a lot of their own personal energy into helping making us successful. And like I said, countless other people have donated time or volunteered time or come up and or made wine runs for me. I mean, it's just it really the story about Charlie and about our community is really a thing, right? It's like I don't know how anyone can start a business without relying on the support of their friends, and I absolutely want to recognize. I wish I had a list of everyone out there that I could thank, but
I'll bet that list is long.
it is long, sir, and I'm grateful to every one of them. And so that, I mean, looking at this chalkboard on the other side of the camera right here, we put that up there so the kids would have something to doodle on. But clearly, you see the adults are putting their notes and everything on there. And there's, you know, stay positive was one of the notes we see right there. It's just that sort of environment that I think, I hate to say, if you build it, they will come. But
well, you did, and they did.
Yeah, I mean, we're just constantly grateful for everyone that walks through our doors.
Right. Yeah, this is definitely as you put it, a community place for sure, no doubt.
We have
Certainly has that feeling.
I mean, one example of that is you know, our involvement with the veterans. I've got a couple of friends. There's a Pflugerville DAV. The DAV helps veterans navigate through the VA because a lot of times the forms are difficult.
Yeah, I'm aware.
and my friends were looking for a place to have an office. They wanted to have an office and have office hours so veterans can find them and they could schedule appointments. And they came to me because I'm involved in a few things and said, hey, do you know a place where we could go? And I asked around a lot. And I couldn't find a place that was willing to work, you know, with them on their budget, which was basically free. And so I called my buddy in, and I said, "Hey, I found a place." He comes in, he says, "All right, I'm ready to hear about it." And I slid a key over to the other side of the table to him. He's like, "Great, what's this? Where is it?" And I'm like, "You're sitting in it." He's what? And I'm like, well, I try to sleep in the mornings because I'm a bar owner and I'm up late. And so from 8 to noon, Monday through Friday, I got nothing going on at the bar. So you might as well take advantage of it and use it. And I think we've got an award somewhere they gave us and recognized us for our years of contribution. But if you need to schedule an appointment with the Pflugerville DAV, they will meet you here because all I needed was a desk and Wi-Fi. Yeah. And here we are with a desk and plenty of Wi-Fi. And some days I'll come in to do an inventory count or just to clean something, and there'll be two men and two people in the back here. And so it's just our commitment to our community to continue to take advantage of and create a place where. Yeah,
that is very cool.
Yeah. And there's other stories that I don't want to bore you with too many, but I mean, the most recent one is a lady came in, Melissa, and she said her book club has been looking for a place to meet, and she was, you could see the exhaustion. She'd spent all day talking with people in terms of trying to find a place for her group to meet. They're not, you know, it's not like they can rent out a place, and so I said, well, what time do you want to meet? She's like, well, Sundays, maybe like 1 to 3, and I'm like, that's perfect. That's a slow day for us. We've got tables over in the back, and you can use those. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. Tell them you got a place. And so we've got book groups. We had another book group a while back, book club. We've got a board game group that needed a place to come hang out. They meet here twice a week. It's just whatever groups that are around, we do our best to be accommodating. You can't always say yes to everyone, but as often as we can, we're willing to work with our community to make sure that you know they've got a place that they can take advantage of.
That is awesome, definitely. And for us wine drinkers, well, it's there's plenty of that in abundance.
There you
especially go. Texas wine drinkers. Wow, this is really amazing. Jim, I want to thank you very much. Really do love this place.
Thank you.
And what you're doing here.
Appreciate that.
Just like the rest of us out to just uplift Texas wine industry.
Yeah.
And beer and distilleries, of course, too.
Distilleries coming soon.
That's always a given. Yeah, I will definitely. I'm definitely going to be back again, and we'll talk. Maybe if you create a handful of craft cocktails, signature cocktails for this place.
Exactly, and it'll be the same sort of.
You and I will have a chat again,
idea.
talking about what you're making there.
Yeah, and again, we will look for the best. The best labels, the best
right.
whiskeys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So it's a three-legged goat, downtown Pflugerville, right off of Main Street. In fact, it's tucked right behind El Rincon restaurant, a Mexican restaurant. That's a brilliant place to eat, actually. So yeah, it's right behind there. You gotta stop by. Texas wines only, and beer too. Yeah. And beer too.
And beer. And a cider.
And a cider.
Yeah.
Okay. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So I'm going to have, of course, description and links and everything down below. Hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And we will see you again. Until next time, let the corks fly. This is really damn good, by the way.
I love that Grenache.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.